So I just woke up and I just woke up to the news that the UFC just said, hold our beer, we're cooking still, and we're fucking just announcing the whole lot, the whole shebang. They've just announced fucking 20 million fights. So we've got a bunch of fights to go over shortly in today's video. Um, Shavkat rakhmonov versus Stephen Thompson, Paddy Pimblett versus Tony Ferguson, Jared Cannoneir versus Roman Dolidze, Rob Font versus Deivison Figueredo, Benoit Denis versus Matt Frevola, Azamat Murzakanov versus Khalil Rountree Jr., and then Jake Mathews versus Micheal Morales. All announced, all official, and a lot of those are for the same cards. So we're going to go over, first of all, the December 16th fight announcement. So there's two of them. Shavkat rakhmonov versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. This is a good fight, but not the best fight we could have gotten. But I'm not going to complain. I'm guessing a lot of people didn't want to fight Shavkat. Guessing Bilal didn't want to. Hey, here's what I'm saying. Everyone saw my video. Look, it got like 40 views, but everyone saw all those 40 views. They were all the UFC welterweights, and they were Dana White. They saw that. They're like, oh yeah, this is a good idea. So they called up Shavkat. They're like, let's get you fight Bilal. Shavkat's like, sure, I'll fight Bilal. And then Bilal's probably like, no man, I don't want to fight. I don't want. We got a title fight. I don't want to fight Shavkat. And then they asked Wonderboy. They're like, you want to fight Usman? He's like, nah. You want to fight Gary? Nah. All right, fuck you. Here's Shavkat. That's probably what they said. Um, but good fight. Shavkat's gonna smoke him. There's a difference. Wonderboy does well against pure strikers. Shavkat is not a pure striker. Plain and simple. This is not Kevin Holland. This is not fucking, I don't know, someone that he's gonna easily beat. This is a Gilbert Burns, Bilal Muhammad type of matchup where he's just gonna get taken down and held there and then probably submitted because Shavkat Rakhmonov's a hell of a lot more aggressive with his jiu-jitsu once he's on the ground to go for those submissions. I think even on the feet, look, I'm not going to say Shavkat's going to be an idiot and try and stand with him. I think that would be unwise. But I do believe that even Shavkat could do okay on the feet. Not saying he should. My official pick, Shavkat Rakhmonov submission inside like 2 rounds. I think he's going to make this easy. He's going to come out there with a point to prove and potentially try and stake his claim for a title shot because it's not about what have you done in the past. It's what have you done for me now. So um, I don't think Bilal Muhammad's gonna. I don't think that decision win over Gilbert Burns is gonna hold up too well if Shavkat goes out there and smokes Stephen Thompson in like a round. I don't think that's gonna be like, oh yeah, Bilal, your win was more impressive. It's gonna be like, bam, Shavkat, here you go, title shot. And I told you, same on the same card. I thought it was gonna be like Wonderboy versus Gary or Wonderboy versus Usman. Um, now I'm left to kind of guess who Gary's going to fight, maybe like Jeff Neal or something. But amazing fight announcement, December 16th, stacked card. So that's now got Leonard versus Colby Covington, Alexandra Pantoja versus Brandon Royval, and now Shavkat Rakhmonov versus not Tony Ferguson, fucking hell. Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Stephen Thompson. Thank God that didn't get made. But Tony Ferguson is also on that card, and he's fighting Paddy Pimblett. This is like the end be all end all. If Tony Ferguson loses, it's wraps. It should have been wraps like after he got KO'd by Chandler, or after he fought Diaz, or even after he fought Bobby Green. But no, we got to keep pushing back the end of the road for Tony Ferguson, and this is it. If he can't beat Paddy Pimblett, who literally should have lost a year ago in this arena to Jared Gordon, then it's tough. You kind of just got to call it a he's got to call it wraps. Knowing Tony, he's gonna be like, man, 10 fights and a title. I'm gonna go on a run, like championship only. But I do think he can win this. Look, I'm gonna have to rewatch the Paddy versus Gordon fight because I know Paddy clearly lost, but I want to just see how fucking shit he looked in that fight. Fucking on my eye. What's wrong with my eyes? I literally just woke up. I woke up at like 12:50. It's now 1:24. I'm on this immediately for you guys, but um. Paddy versus Tony, yeah. I'm gonna have to rewatch the Bobby Green versus Tony Ferguson fight just to see how much hope I have in Tony. Because Bobby Green is not bad. And then I want to rewatch Paddy versus Tony, Paddy versus Gordon as well, and then see how much hope I have that Tony can win. Initial lean, look, probably I'm gonna have to go with Paddy, but I'm gonna be 100% rooting for Tony Ferguson, and I think he definitely can win this. This is probably one of the more this is the most winnable name fight that he has, I think, at lightweight. Okay, the next fight, Jared Cannonier versus Roman Dolidze. This is December 2nd. Um, Amazing fight. This is a banger. Um, Jared Cannonier should absolutely smoke Roman Dolidze if it's on the feet. Like Roman Dolidze, I think people forget about this. This is a fight that kind of just went by the wayside. Roman Dolidze got just pretty much outboxed by Marvin Vettori for 3 rounds at UFC 286. Hasn't fought since. He didn't get like beaten up, but Cannoneir just put Marvin Vettori through a blender. So on the feet, he absolutely tears apart Roman Dolidze, who just doesn't really have anything that dynamic in the stand-up. But the ground is where Roman's got to get this to. He's got to do some sort of jiu-jitsu wizardry. He's got to get him to the ground, get him even pull guard if that's what it takes. Because we saw against Jack Hermanson, he's got nasty subs off his back, so he can definitely make that work. But Cannoneer is just so physically strong, so big. He's solid. He looks better than ever somehow at 39 years of age. He's just somehow tripled his cardio output. Um, Not suggesting any use of supplements. That would be bad. But I'm sure no one ever would do that. Um, but Cannonier, I think, should absolutely smoke him in this fight. I don't think he's going to go to the ground as easily. Like Dolidze was just like didn't go to the ground with Vettori, and I picked Vettori, but I was like, damn, I was wanting to pick Dolidze and assumed that Vettori was going to be retarded, and just I shouldn't have said that word. I'm going to get demonetized, but um, he said like, I was like, what the fuck's he doing? I thought Vittoria was going to be stupid and go to the ground, but no, Dolidze just didn't even try and engage in the grappling. He just tried to beat Vittoria in a striking match and failed, and that really doesn't look good. So I do believe Jared Cannonier should absolutely smoke him, probably knock him out on the feet. I don't know how durable Dolidze is. He's been cracked a few times, but Cannonier to win this fight by TKO or decision. Next fight, another banger. Rob Font versus Deivison Figueredo, December 2nd as well. And neither of those are main event. What the fuck is this? We've got two absolute bangers that could definitely be a main event of an arena. It's clearly an arena card. Imagine it was an Apex fight. Clearly an arena card. Um, Maybe Connor. That's all. I don't know. It's not Connor. But there's what I'm trying to think. It's got to be a title fight to main event this because what the fuck is this? Like, it's got to be like O'Malley versus Cheeto. It's got to be that because there's no. Why would they do that? It's not a pay per view. So maybe a women's fight night title fight. But fuck, what the fuck's main eventing over Font versus Figueredo and Cannoneer versus the Lindsay? Jesus Christ. But this is a banger, and I'm picking Rob Font to beat Deivison Figueredo. Um, I think Deivison Figueredo, he's a lot slower. I don't think his power is going to translate that much to bantamweight. I think he's going to be literally an average powered bantamweight. He's going to be a lot smaller. I think he's going to be a good size for bantamweight, but I think Rob Font's boxing is so good. Deivison, he could wrestle, That's the worry here. Um, but I ultimately am going to go with Rob Font. I think he's going to be able to keep it on the feet. I don't think Figgy shoots that much. Look, he could shoot takedowns, but and if he does, he probably will succeed. But even like the size-wise, physically, maybe Font's going to learn from that Sandhagen fight. Be better. I definitely think he outboxes Figueredo on the feet. So I do believe he's going to win this fight. Probably by decision. I don't see him TKOing Figueredo in a 3-rounder. Really good fight though. Super excited for that. I'm just trying to think anything else on that fight. Like, yeah, Figgy's got a grapple. It's just going to be interesting to see how much his power translates up a weight class. Like, if he's still just KOing bantamweights, because Font's not got the best chin. But moving on, another banger. This one I'm so excited for. Benoit Saint Denis versus Matt Frevola. I said it. This was the fight to make. I said this on this fucking channel. I made or maybe I didn't, but I said it on my Instagram at least. I said this is the fight to make. MSG guaranteed banger, and they made it. This is going to be fight of the night, almost guaranteed. But actually, no, it might not because Yuri versus Pereira is on that card. I can't believe we're living in a world where Yuri versus Pereira and Benoit Saint Denis versus Matt Frevola are on the same card. Like, I can't live in a world where you think Frevola versus Benoit Saint Denis might get outdone as fight of the night. Um, but I'm going to pick Benoit Saint Denis in this fight, and I really hope he wins. I'm high on him. I'm a big fan of Benoit Saint Denis. He's the god of war. He's really impressed me in his last two performances. He subbed and destroyed Ismail Bonfim in a round, and then he TKO'd Moises and just shut the guy down and dominated him. in the second round. Um, so that was crazy to see from him. Frevola, look, he did KO the Giga Chad Chin Drudover, but Drudover's fighting on October 7th, and he's fighting Ricky Glenn. And Ricky Glenn, he does lack melanin in his skin, but he's an old man, so logically Dober should win. But we're going to see how much Frevola's win really holds up, because if Dober goes out there and gets TKO'd by Ricky Glenn, then it's basically official that it's not Frevola being good, it's Dober not fighting a dark opponent. Um, oh, fucking hell. If you know, you know. You should know. If you're an MMA, if you're watching this channel, you're fucking obscure enough to know that joke. But yeah, I do believe Matt Frevola, he's got power for days, but when I say that he's down at lightweight, his chin seems a lot more refreshed. He takes or not refreshed, but like, he takes the shots a lot better. Like, he was getting pieced up by Dos Santos. And I think Frevola is probably a similar level to Dos Santos, but doesn't have the size, probably doesn't have as much power, and he's just not going to physically out muscle and outsize him. So I think Benoit Denis also has the grappling here, and I think he can use that grappling to great effect. But I don't think he would be wise to stand with Frevola for prolonged periods of time. But he could, and he could still win that fight. But I think he's going to win this fight through the grappling. I think he just bullied Moises. Frevola beat Dober, and he beat Ottoman Azaitar. Like, Ottoman Azaitar is shit. He just lost to Francisco Prado, got slapped in the first round. So that's not like a one-off thing. That's not like that was a good win, like good counter shot. Like he hits like a truck, but Ottoman Azaitar's also got a sus chin. So I do believe when I say Denis is going to win this fight, I think he's going to grapple, and I think he's going to be able to strike with Frevola after like a solid round of grappling, wearing him out, punching him ground and pound. He's got some vicious ground and pound. So I think he's going to win. But moving on, the second last fight announcement: Khalil Rountree Jr. versus Azamat Murzakanov. This is also December 2nd, so we've got three absolute bangers. This could honestly be an Apex Fight Night main event. Like, the UFC has done worse Apex main events than that. So we've got three fights that could potentially be a main event, and none of them a main event. I'm picking Khalil Rountree in this fight. I do believe he's going to beat Azamat Murzakanov. I do believe that he's just a little bit more powerful, but Murzakanov not to be slept on. Like, in his last fight, I forget who he beat. I think it was... Um, I believe it was Jacoby. My phone's making noise. Fuck off. Um, it might have been, was it Jacoby? Might have been Jacoby. I think, yeah, it was Jacoby. So he beat Dustin Jacoby, which is a really good win. That's held up pretty well. He just beat Kennedy and Jezelku. So that was a really solid win for Murzakanov. He's such a short guy, though. Like, he's got a heavyweight build for a light heavyweight in comparison, if you know what I mean. Like, he's a little short, stocky, chubby, but he's a really good fighter. He hits like a truck. I think Rowntree's just coming into his own now. I think he's got that power. He's coming off a big win over Chris Dorcas. Some black on white violence, some reverse police brutality. But yeah, Rountree should win. I think he's just a more dynamic striker on the feet. I think Murzakanov probably mixed into wrestling a little bit, so definitely not a guaranteed win for Rountree, but this is a banger fight. And the last one, Jake Mathews versus Micheal Morales. This is a great fight too. This is like a contenders fight. And this is actually really interesting. Like, you go, oh, Micheal Morales undefeated, he's obviously going to win. But he like lost the first round clearly to Max Griffin, who's an old veteran. So you never know. Like, you just can't tell if he is going to win this one. Um, Jake Mathews looked pretty good in his last fight against Darius Flowers, and it just depends if Mathews shows up really good or just whatever. Because he got cracked and like kept getting dropped by Semmelsberger when he fought him and lost because of that. So I could see a similar thing happening here. I think Morales is probably going to be a bit quicker, but Jack Mathews has got some slick sort of movement and slick combination. He's got some good combinations. And he puts them together well when he's on. Like against Fiala, he looked great. I know Fiala's not the best, but against Darius Flowers. So, like, look, I'll probably lean with Morales, but Jake Mathews definitely has the capabilities to end the hype train here because I'm not all that high on Morales. Like, um, again, these welterweight guys, they looked at my video and they're like, no, we can't give this guy credit. We can't let this guy fucking have the matchmakings that he did. Because I said you do Ponzinibbio versus Morales and then you do Mathews versus like Carlson Harris. But they didn't listen to me. But anyway, I'll see. These are crazy news. What the fuck is this? I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, everybody.